Hello folks, this is Dom Flemons, the American Songster, and I want to welcome you back to American Songster Radio on WSM in Nashville, Tennessee. On today's episode, which is the podcast now for the final episode, Season 4, we're going to be talking a little bit about my Grammy nomination for Traveling Wildfire, which is in the Best Folk Album category, and then also Smithsonian Folkways 75th anniversary. So with Traveling Wildfire, it's now competing against folks like Joni Mitchell, Paul Simon, Rufus Wainwright, the Milk Carton Kids, and Old Crow Medicine Show. So that's going to be really a very, very tight race. I don't know what's going to be happening with that one. But I wanted to pivot over to my partner, Vania, and let's talk a little bit about it for the podcast.
Hey everyone. Well, first of all, let me say, Dom's so chill about this Grammy nomination. I'd be freaking out right now, which I am freaking out. But this is so exciting, and congrats, Dom. I know I've been saying congrats all week long.
Thanks.
But this is really, truly a big honor, and we're so grateful that the Recording Academy and his peers are acknowledging him with this amazing nomination. But yeah, I mean, to be competing against Joni Mitchell, Paul Simon, Rufus Wainwright, the Milk Carton Kids, and your friend's Old Crow Medicine Show, I mean, truly, how do you feel, Dom? Let's talk about your feelings.
Well, I feel that, Traveling Wildfire was a wonderful labor of love, and I put everything I had into making the record. So I feel in a lot of ways it's just been awesome to get it out there, and then also to see it making its way up into the upper echelon. And now I'll be interested to see if it can make it all the way through. I'm now just sort of, just crossing my fingers on the possible win, but at the same time, I'm also a little bit intimidated seeing all these big names up there. So we'll just have to see how far I can go.
Absolutely. Well, when they name dropped Paul Simon, I was like, wow, okay. I remember, being in middle school and high school, truly being introduced to Paul Simon and the folk revival during that time. And if you were to have asked me when I was younger what life would be like growing up and then eventually getting into folk music and the music industry and country music, I would say, how many miles do I need to go to get to this spot where Dom is on the same Grammy ballot as Paul Simon and Joni Mitchell and everyone else? And to know that together we've done over 500,000 miles, and our life is in many ways symbolically been a traveling wildfire. It definitely comes around full circle. So yeah, this is going to be a really exciting race, and a lot of different generations too represented in folk music. So that's really exciting as well, just to see the diversity and the different styles that are going to be competing against each other. But, for me, everyone's a winner. So I feel really great about that. And no matter what happens, I know we'll be at the right place at the right time.
Absolutely. Well, we've been really focusing this whole season on the making of Traveling Wildfire. I think it's been wonderful to have all these different episodes. I think we're on episode 9 now. And just to recap a little bit of what we've done before, we started off with country and soul love songs, getting deep into the heart of love songs in different ways. We've done an episode on Black Dylan covers, the African-American performers covering Bob Dylan's songs.
Now, on that one, which one was your favorite version of a Dylan cover by a Black artist? Would you say it was, trying to think.
Well, there were a lot of really interesting ones that I was able to...
Solomon Burke was on that, right?
Yeah, I had What Good Am I?
Yeah.
From Dylan's album, Oh Mercy. And that was a really great version. I mean, that was the thing was, when you get into the world of Black Dylan covers, you find that there are a lot of different songs that people have picked over the years. And I found that it was interesting. There were a lot of songs that are lesser covered Dylan songs that are in the mix. And so like What Good Am I, for example, is one of the ones that is not as well known. And there's other
Wait, you're
song.
looking at your playlist right now. What's going on?
I'm looking at the playlist here because I got to see what I did. This is a recap. This isn't just what happened.
What
this
Good Am I is
episode.
on there, right?
No, it's not on there.
Well, I'm glad that you brought it up because Solomon Burke is on there though, but with a different song.
No, I didn't put Solomon Burke. That must have been one that I had thought about doing, but I didn't put it on. But
that is a Dylan cover, though.
That is
correct?
a Dylan cover, of course.
Okay, so maybe we were just channeling that song. Why don't you go ahead and add it to the playlist? Go ahead and add it.
Okay, we'll add it to the playlist here. But let me see. Another one that was a favorite is, let's see. Let's say like Betty LaVette doing Don't Fall Apart on Me Tonight, which is a great song from Dylan in the 1980s. You know, again, it's lesser known number. It's part of the album Infidels from 1983, which is kind of the first album Dylan did after he was deep in his born again Christian phase. Not covered that well, but Betty LaVette just really knocks it out on that one. There's also the extremely smooth Lay Lady Lay from the Isley Brothers, which is just like melted butter as you listen to that one.
That's grown folks music right there. That's grown folks music.
And of course we had people like Sam Cooke doing Blowin' in the Wind, which is one from his Copacabana show. But anyway, you can find a bunch of them. So we curated a great playlist off of that one. Then we went into songs that I thought were kind of cold, songs for It's Cold Inside, which were songs that were just really deep, songs that got into the cold heart of emotion. And so I made a playlist off of that one.
Well, what I love about It's Cold Inside and also the songs that we included for that specific episode is that it really reaches deep into what's been going on during the pandemic, post-pandemic, and then also just really talks about hitting rock bottom and these really intense emotions that come up when you sort of lose everything, even lose your mind in many ways. And so I'm so glad that so many people resonate with It's Cold Inside, but it's been interesting because people also think it's sort of like psychedelic Western country music, which I'm like, yeah, it's probably because of the Hofner that's on there. It's got that little whammy bar that gives it kind of that interesting swag that sounds different than most of the songs on the album. But it also has an amazing music video. So make sure to check that out on YouTube as well. But another song that we focused on for one of the episodes was an original song that you wrote called If You Truly Love Me. And that one's more of a love gained, love lost sort of song.
Yeah, and that one for the playlist that I made to go with that one, it was all sort of African American country music in different types. So I included some of the more well-known folks like D. Ford Bailey and Leslie Riddle. But then also I brought Linda Martell into the mix. One of them was one of my favorite versions of the song Your Cheatin' Heart, which is done by the great James Brown. And it's a very different sounding version of the Hank Williams classic, but it also tells a lot about the interpretive aspect of African American performers performing country music material. So that's something that I put into the mix there. That's also a really great one as well.
Well, why don't you go ahead and pull up that Black Roots music playlist? That was the episode that followed that one. I wish I had all these songs memorized, but there's so much. And we've been listening to a lot of music this year, so even for me, I have to look back and see, like, what did we do on these episodes again?
Yeah, and so with this one, we were celebrating Black Music Month, and we put together a little playlist that included Taj Mahal, Valerie June. We got Rolling Through California by Fantastic Negrito and Miko Marks. We got a little bit of Ranky Tanky, Yasmin Williams, Trey Wellington, and also our good friend Jackie Vinson. We decided to bring them all together into a playlist so that you could hear a little bit of contemporary Black Roots music on the program. And so that was a wonderful episode there.
Nice. And the one that followed, that was The Real Wild West, and that was actually dedicated to the documentary on Curiosity Stream, which Dom is narrating, and then the song Traveling Wildfire is the theme song for the entire series. So that was a really fantastic episode, which included some wonderful artists like Marty Robbins, Don Edwards, Johnny Cash. Of course, we had to put some Willie Nelson, Willie Watson on there.
Yeah, we had a
Did
little
we
bit
put
of
Willie Nelson on there?
No, we put Willie Watson. We didn't get Willie Nelson on there this time.
Hopefully, we'll get Willie Nelson as a special guest on the next season.
Yeah, hopefully.
Fingers crossed
we'll see.
on that.
And, we got a wonderful Western number from Alvin Youngblood Hart, Rest Your Saddle, on there. And we just had some really great ones on there. And so as we continue to move through the season, we had two wonderful guests that came onto the program. We had producer Ted Hutt, the producer of Traveling Wildfire. We had him sit down with us and talk about several of the songs on Traveling Wildfire and sort of the process in making this wonderful album and sort of the way we made the landscape and the soundscape of the music. And so that was a really wonderful episode to have. And then finally, we had Sam Bush, the amazing Bluegrass Hall of Famer nowadays, 2 times over. One time for New Grass Revival, and now again this year in 2023 for his own solo work. We had Sam Bush on, and it was a wonderful interview that we got to have together, including a small jam session where we got to have a little bit of fiddle and bones, and there was a lot of really wonderful context for Sam's history of being a fiddler through his father, and so that was a really wonderful episode as well. And we got to make some wonderful playlist around the Sam Bush episode, so make sure you check that out as well in the archives.
Yeah, well, there's been so many wonderful episodes, so many great songs, and all of this really fits within the theme of the making of Traveling Wildfire. And I'm really excited that we dedicated this season to the new album because there's just so many different layers to this album that goes beyond just the original songs, a few of the traditionals, and the visuals. I mean, you have to imagine we've spent probably 15 to 18 hours a day listening to music, listening to albums that are in Dom's record collection, studying, researching, trying out different new styles and really trying to figure out what the new vibe was going to be. Because a lot of people know Dom for his music with the Carolina Chocolate Drops. They're very familiar of his historical work and his reinterpretations, and then also his dedication to old-time music and folk music. But it was really important that we focus on the songwriting, also his skills as a multi-instrumentalist. So I hope that in listening to this season, people got a chance to hear the different ways that we approach the album creatively, and then some of the inspiration that we've gained from some of the artists that we've met this year and in previous years, and then also some of their styles and songs as well. So there's a lot of different dimensions to Traveling Wildfire, and it was really great to be able to explore that with you, Dom, on this season.
Absolutely, and it was great to pull out some of the extra threads that you can pull out of the music and be able to just hear the different sounds that sort of some of the stuff is a direct one-to-one comparison, and then other times it just sort of reaches out and just sort of like breaks through the normal boundaries of genre and things like that. So that's something that was really exciting on this season to be able to do all of that. But yeah, that's kind of fits in line with the original mission statement of Smithsonian Folkways and with Moses Ash trying to create a mosaic for the sound of the world's people and the world's music. And so that's something that I was very much inspired by originally, and that's something that I really wanted to keep in place as I was putting together Traveling Wildfire, so that each of the tracks could reach out into these different spaces where when you start to look at the different influences and the different pieces of that music, you could then find quite a few different albums within the Smithsonian Folkways catalog that described or also symbolically became a part of what made this album the way it is.
Well, speaking of Smithsonian Folkways, they're also celebrating their 75th anniversary, and you're celebrating your 5-year anniversary of putting Black Cowboys out on the label. And so this is your 4th nomination for a Grammy over the past few decades. So what does this mean for you within the context of your own legacy, and then within the context of Folkways' 75th year anniversary and their legacy?
Well, I think it's wonderful that all these years happened to line up so properly together. Of course, Black Cowboys was my very first album on Smithsonian Folkways, and it was amazing to be able to get that record out there, because it opened up a new channel for African American Western culture to be legitimized in a certain type of way. And it's been amazing to see over the past 5 years what different popular culture has grown out of the Black Cowboys album. And so on the 5-year anniversary, it's amazing to see that it still is being treated like a brand new record. And so I'm always so proud that I was able to get that out. And I knew that only Smithsonian Folkways would know what to do with it. So it was also wonderful to be able to know that it's now a part of their catalog. And with the 75th anniversary of Smithsonian Folkways, I mean, like a lot of people, I was just deeply influenced by this label and all of its different releases and all of the different ways that it showcased just amazing music that was not the mainstream type of music. And that it's just wonderful to be a part of its 75th anniversary and to be a part of the continuation of amazing records to come out on Smithsonian Folkways. Of course, like there were albums that came out this year as well, like one called Ears of the People, which is the very first album to feature a conting music. When the conting is sort of an African lute that's like a forerunner of the banjo. And so Smithsonian Folkways put out the very first album dedicated to this amazing instrument that is still currently being played in the Gambia. And that's just one of many things. Of course, there were other nominees. Sam Bush put out his album, Radio John, the Songs of John Hartford, and that's been an album that's received a lot of wonderful, positive, and critical acclaim. And so it's great that it's also got a nomination for Best Bluegrass Album this year with the Grammys. And then there was the box set, Playing for the Man at the Door, field recordings from the collection of Mac McCormick, 1958 to 1971, that features a lot of these wonderful recordings made by Mac McCormick, a blues collector, writer, and sort of a foundational scholar of the blues. And there's a lot of just great music that's come out on Folkways, and it's been an amazing year for the label as well as for myself.
Yeah, well, it's definitely been a great year for the label, and we're so grateful for everyone on their entire team that worked with us on Traveling Wildfire. There's just literally been so many people that helped bring this all together, from the producers to the engineers to King Size Sound Labs in LA to Dave Cooley, who did the mastering, Ryan Mall, who did the engineering, Ted Hutt, who did the producing. And then also we have to give a shout out to the photographers as well. We have Shervin Lanes, and we also have Rory Doyle, who is an amazing photographer based in Mississippi. And he shot a bunch of great photos of Dom over at the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering in Elko, Nevada. And we used some of those images and actually brought on an amazing collage artist named Marina Martinez, and she took Rory's photos and Shervin's photos and reimagined them as collage art and designed these really amazing elements, which includes some Southwestern themes, some themes of butterflies and birds and nature, and sort of incorporated that alongside Myself and the Moon and our tintypes. And there are just a lot of great aspects to those collage pieces. So that was included in the album package. So for me personally, as the co-writer to the liner notes and also as one of the album curators who worked with Smithsonian Folkways and all aspects of the teams, the different teams, it's been great to be able to see this album start off as just an idea and then literally turn into a reality that now has transformed into this Grammy nomination. So to be a part of 100% of the process and to have my wheels in all the different areas has been really cool. And just it's really amazing that you also invited me to be on this journey with you to help bring Traveling Wildfire out to the world.
Without a doubt, it was very important for you to be a part of it. And then I love the fact that you made it into the moon. That was a wonderful thing for me to see once we brought it all together.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of end of the year highlights, one of the big highlights for you was being on the cover of Acoustic Guitar Magazine and then having a really wonderful piece for your instrumental song Rabbit Foot Rag, which is also featured in the album.
Absolutely. Well, I produced and I put together more so. I put together Rabbit Foot Rag as just a little piece to showcase some of the little finger picking, tricks and turns that I've learned over the years. And I'm so glad that Acoustic Guitar Magazine took such a liking to it that they decided to feature it in the magazine and made tablature so that people can learn it. It's just a nice little piece to get your fingers used to playing playing a rag off of a C chord, and so it was something that I was really, really pleased with. And also it's sort of a tribute to a lot of the early ragtime pickers that were a part of the minstrel shows and the old-time medicine shows. So like the Rabbit Foot Minstrels was a medicine show group that traveled around the Deep South. And unlike minstrel shows, like when we think of like blackface minstrel shows, the Rabbit Foot's minstrel came from a later period where they were traveling tent shows, and they mostly featured black performers. And so, a lot of blues singers cut their teeth playing with the Rabbit's Foot Minstrels. So look them up, and it's a very fascinating history. So I wanted to make a reference back to the Rabbit Foot Minstrels with Rabbit Foot Rag. And so,
who were some famous musicians who played with the Rabbit Foot Minstrels? Was it like Bessie Smith? Was it
there was
Elmore James? Did you have Ma Rainey?
No, not Elmore James, but there was Ma Rainey was a part of the Rabbit Foot, as well as Bessie Smith. Big Joe Williams was a part of it. Even it went on long enough to even Bobby Rush said that he performed with the Rabbit Foot back over and when he was a young boy doing the ham bone and a tap dance for the troupe. And it was started back in Florida by a fellow out of Jacksonville, Florida. His name's escaping me at the moment, but it was very much an effort to book and present black entertainment for people in the Deep South. And what they would do is they would have giant tents so that they wouldn't have to hire out a theater. They would use these big tents, and people would come into the tents and pay a small fee to make their way into the program and be able to hear all these wonderful performers and see these wonderful circus acts, because there were a lot of circus acts and music acts at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was really wonderful that they put you on the cover of Acoustic Guitar Magazine. And also, you had a major documentary that came out called The Real Wild West, and that was produced by Roller Coaster Road Productions. And it is on Curiosity Stream, available now, streaming, for folks who are interested in watching it. But it was awesome because they created a Traveling Wildfire music video to go along with it. So not only were you part of the documentary as a narrator, a host, and then had the theme song, but then you had this great music video too. Yeah,
it was filmed in Superstition Mountains out in Arizona, and it just came together so wonderfully. And it was actually a surprise, because we had actually made a music video for It's Cold Inside, and so that was our only plan for a music video. But because of this documentary, we were able to get this wonderful Traveling wildfire landscape video that just is really amazing. You really got to see it to know exactly what we're talking about. So make sure you look that up on YouTube or wherever you get your music from. And
hopefully you just get it from YouTube. I don't know if the music video is going to be anywhere else, but maybe on Instagram.
No, possibly. but yeah, it turned out to be a real wonderful music video and a great capstone to this amazing experience I had with the Real Wild West documentary. And yeah, just really enjoyed that.
Yeah, well, recently you had a great New York Times style magazine piece that came out where there's a really beautiful photo of you at Fitzgerald's nightclub in Berwyn, Illinois, right outside of Chicago. That was taken by Justin French. And yeah, that article was all about reclaiming folk music as a Black musician and really talking about all the different people that are in the community now and some of the new folks as well. But it's been great to see a new version of Black folk music resurfacing and reinventing itself and creating its own lane in the music industry.
Yeah, well, back in 2005 when I began to play music as a full-time professional, that was one of those things that there were only just a few Black roots music performers, and it was sort of like few and far between. You'd have people, mostly in blues, you would have a lot of solo performers who would kind of do different types of music. Someone like Guy Davis, for example, who's a blues singer, but he also does folk music as well. You'd have someone like that would be in the mix. But there hadn't been a lot of groups. And so the article talks about how my group, the Carolina Chocolate Drops, was a pioneering group for creating a brand new wave of interest in Black roots performance. And of course, one of the things I've always have told people for years is that just when people see Black performers claiming the music and presenting this old-time music in the old-time styles, it's something that just blows their mind. It's something that changes their whole outlook on everything, because there's a sort of visceral connection that can be made when you hear this type of music. And so now over a 20-year period, the group has still remained definitely a pioneering group on the sort of resurgence of Black roots music, but yet I still haven't seen another group come out of all of it. So we'll have to see if that changes over time. So, but that was something that we did, and we kind of went along the vein of people like the New Lost City Ramblers, and in trying to create a space for people to be interested in the old time songs.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of songs, you performed a really wonderful version of Dodgin' Joe with Andy Hedges on the Grand Ole Opry this year, and it was also his debut too. So it was great to see you be, one of the folks to bring him in to the Grand Ole Opry circle, and then also you're featured on his album as well.
Yeah, well, Andy Hedges, the wonderful cowboy songster, he featured me on his newest record, Roll On Cowboys, and I had a chance to go to the Grand Ole Opry this year, and I decided to invite Andy Hedges to come on down so that we could play Dodgin' Joe on the air, and it was wonderful to be able to bring this old-time song, which in many ways is considered to be the very first Cowboys song, onto the airwaves of WSM, and so that was a really great feather in the cap, and so we just really enjoyed playing that music there, and to being a really wonderful time.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of wonderful time, we've actually been to 3 great events this year, which include Americana Fest, IBMA, and then I went to Farm and worked as a presenter, and that was really an amazing experience. It was my first time at Americana Fest, second time at IBMA, and first time at Farm.
And Farm is?
Oh, yeah. Well, for folks out there who don't know Farm, yes, I've gone to many farms, but I've gone to the Farm this year. Farm is Folk Alliance Region Midwest. So they have their conference over in Lisle, Illinois, which is just a few minutes away from where we're at in Naperville. And yeah, it was really amazing to be a part of the Americana community, also the bluegrass community and folk communities this year, and to be able to meet a lot of great people, meet some people for the first time, and then see some of our old friends. So that was really a wonderful experience. I'm glad we got a chance to go to those conferences.
Yeah, and I got the great opportunity to be able to present a few awards out over at Americana. I got a chance to present an award to the wonderful Sister Strings, and that was a wonderful time. And then also I got a chance to present a couple of awards at the IBMA alongside my good friend Becky Buller. And so that was wonderful to be able to give a couple of awards out for, I believe it was Entertainer of the Year, and then it went to Billy Strings, and then there was the Album of the Year, and that went to Molly Tuttle and Golden Highway. And so that was really a wonderful experience to be able to do that for the first time, be up on the big stage, not performing, but just presenting an award.
Well, you technically did perform Wagon Wheel with Kedge, Molly Tuttle. Who was all there? There was like 20 people on stage with you all.
Oh yeah, it was a pile up.
But I can't remember who was all there.
Yeah, that was.
Was it Jerry Douglas?
Yeah, Jerry. No, I think it was Sam Bush.
Sam Bush was there.
Molly,
Golden Highway.
Molly Tuttle,
Kedge.
And then also the Del McCurry band was all there. So I think it might have been all the Traveling McCurrys, the whole kit and caboodle. And I think that was most of everybody that was there. I think Becky Buller. I think she might have jumped up.
Well, anyways, it was a great time. There was a bunch of people on stage. It was the last song of the night, and apologies if we missed anybody who was on stage, but you were awesome. It was amazing, and it was a really, really awesome time to be able to be a part of that as well. And then at Americana Fest, we got a chance to run into some new people who I had never met before. I had never met Brandi Carlile, so it was nice to talk to her. And we actually had a cool little moment where she was walking by looking all cool. And I was like, "Hey, I love your outfit." And she was like, "Oh, it's Emmanuel." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. We just saw Emmanuel a week ago because we were in Nashville, or a few weeks ago. We were in Nashville for Dom's hosting of the Nashville Public Television panel dedicated to the American cowboy. And, the fashion designer, Manuel, was one of the panelists. So we talked to Manuel, and it was great for him to be a part of the panel. And he was talking about how the American West is represented in fashion and how he designed all these amazing outfits for all these major country music celebrities and politicians. So we had literally just seen Manuel, talked to him, had an amazing conversation with him, and then Brandi Carlile walks by and she's like, "Oh, I'm wearing a Manuel." And so that was how we were able to connect for the first time. So it was great. And she was like, "Oh, did Manuel tell any funny stories?" And I was like, "You know he did." So that was cool. Trying to think, at Americana Fest, we ran into the War and the Treaty. I had never met them before.
I'll mention in passing, though, that Nashville Public Television program is now up and streaming on the Nashville Public Television website, and that's was an interview I did talking about the West, and I had the great opportunity to be able to interview some wonderful people, including Manuel, who Vania had mentioned. And then also a wonderful woman, Dr. Cynthia Fleming, and then also Ranger Doug Green from the Riders in the Sky, and then also Andy Hedges, who I mentioned before. So that ended up being a really wonderful program. So I just wanted to mention that in passing because you kind of threw that out there.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did, because I'm going to write down on my notes after this that you did do Nashville Public Television. That was a sold-out event. It was really beautiful, well done. And then locally, people can watch that as well, and I believe on YouTube too. But I'll have to look into that and give you guys that information on Dom's Instagram. But just kind of back to Americana Fest for a second. We ran into the War and the Treaty, got a chance to see them perform, right? Mm-hmm. Saw Sister Strings, and they were just like over the moon excited that you handed them that award for Instrumentalist of the Year. They were freaking out, which was great. And then we also got a chance to see, Betty LaVette. That was
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah, I love Betty LaVette. She's always so exciting to be around. And she was talking about something where she was hanging out with, was it Sam Cooke or... She was giving this big elaborate story of hanging out with some of these
LaVette,
R&B celebrities from the past.
Oh, she always has such great stories. I mean, I've had a chance to run into her a whole bunch, and she's always got some amazing stories about stuff. I think what was she talking about? No, she was talking about, she was telling Otis Redding stories, and that's what she was doing.
That's right.
So that she had some really great insights into Otis Redding and how they all used to hang out, because what had happened is that she ran into William Bell, and so she and William Bell started talking about Otis Redding, and they had some really great stories just talking about growing up together, doing soul music and R&B way back in the day. So that was really, really wonderful. Yeah, we should get Betty LaVette on the show at some point.
We are.
You know.
You're going to hear Betty LaVette on WSM, y'all. Definitely, for sure. She's got some great stories and is really deep into the Americana roots community. So she's one of the foundations of it all. But we saw her, let's think, because I feel like it's so cool to talk about these things after the fact. But
well, we're getting ready to run out of time, though. So
no, we're not. We got some time. We're only 36 minutes in. I'm sure people want to hear at least 10 more minutes of us talking. But just to kind of wrap up Americana Fest, we saw Allison Russell there.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And that was really wonderful to meet her Rainbow Coalition group of bandmates, and they all have really interesting stories. And then got a chance to briefly see Margot Price, but then you really got a chance to talk with Brandy Clark.
Yeah,
on the Americana red carpet.
Yeah, well, I've run into Brandy quite a few times over the years, and it was really great to see her again. It had been a little while, and and she also just put out a really wonderful album. Brandy Clark, I think, is the name of it. It's a self-titled album, and just a heartbreaker of an album too. Really just gets into the deep low down feelings that you can find, and also trying to find solace in being able to lift yourself up outside of those deep dark moments as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was such an amazing time, and yeah, in general this year has been a roller coaster ride. One of those big roller coasters, too, at Six Flags. You know, the ones that they're like, okay, you may not make it in the end. But we made it, y'all. We have made it to the end of 2023. And also, for us personally, we're both parents. We have a beautiful daughter, Cheyenne Love. And this year, she started kindergarten.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. So Cheyenne has been on the road with us touring ever since she was a baby. Funny enough, the very first place we ever took her was Brooklyn, New York. So from Brooklyn all the way to Dom's Brooklyn Folk Fest Grammy nomination. It was great to be able to surprise her after school and tell her that you got nominated for a Grammy. And she's like, what the heck? So that was funny. She's a little comedian and a songwriter and a singer in the making. So that's been wonderful. But as far as anything coming up in the future, what's new, Dom? What do you have? What do you want to tell the folks?
Well, I got a brand new song that's going to be coming out now that we finished up with Traveling Wildfire. I had the great opportunity to get a call from the Oxford American, and for their Southern Music issue, they asked me to write a brand new ballad, and they said, well, write whatever you want, but if you can show the connection between poetry and balladry, that'd be the goal for this issue. And so I decided to write a long-form ballad. I believe it has 16 verses to it. It's a song called The Final Gift, and it's a story about love and the joys and sort of the tragedies that can be found within a love story. And so it's between two people who are coming together for the first time in a long time. And I'm going to let you all hear the rest of it when it finally comes out. So it's The Final Gift.
Absolutely. Well, as we're wrapping up the last few minutes on this episode, I do want to mention that folks should really visit Dom's website, theamericansongster.com, and check out all of his upcoming tour dates. We have a lot of really amazing shows next year, including going on Cayamo Cruise. And then also, Dom's got a wonderful tour out in Europe in the summertime. So make sure to be on the lookout as well. And don't forget to stop by the merch store, y'all. Dom's got some cool stuff, tote bags, albums, CDs, t-shirts, a little bit of everything. We will have some new merch coming as well. So be on the lookout. We've been doing some great collaborations, so I'm really excited about the new merch. And then also we have a brand new season coming out on WSM. So we're really excited. We're starting to plan it. It's going to be season 5. Do we want to share the title now, or should we wait?
I think we should wait. Let's let the folks just kind of sit in their seats, wonder, and get excited about the new season coming out of American Songster Radio.
Yes, it's going to be a little different than the past 2 seasons, but it's going to be the special edition version of American Songster Radio show. So make sure to be on the lookout. And yeah, I feel like we covered a lot. So I don't want to overwhelm people with all the things that we've had going on this year, but we're just so excited that you all have been joining us on American Songster Radio Show podcast. Also, thank you so much for tuning in to the episodes that have been playing on the air on Tuesdays this year. And yeah, we're just so appreciative of all the fans. There's been so much love on Instagram and social media and all over the place. So we couldn't do this without you all. And we're just so thankful that you all are tuning in and listening. And hopefully you all can reach out. Let us know what you think we should be playing on the air. We want to hear what songs you all are interested in and what artists you all have been playing recently. And then if you ever have any questions or just want to give special shout outs, feel free to email theamericansongster@gmail.com. We do respond to every email most of the times, unless it's super crazy busy. But if you email theamericansongster@gmail.com, we will try our best to respond. So it would be great to hear from you all.
Yeah, and of course, one of the things is if you're just tuning in for the first time, we have an archive that is online. You can find American Songster Radio and find the older episodes for this season, as well as the previous season where we had some wonderful artists that I interviewed. And then, of course, you can find some of the earlier seasons from back when I was on WUNC, North Carolina Public Radio. And so please check out the archives. They're all out there, and so make sure that you listen in and check it out. And also the Spotify playlist as well give you a little bit more context into the different themes and the different music that I would talk with each of the guests about. So make sure you check that out as well, because we've gotten quite a catalog of music that we've put together.
All right, well, that's it. Oh, it's the end. It's the end of the season and beginning of a new season.
Yep, well, it's never the end. It's always the beginning. So, folks, it's been wonderful to be with you again for a 4th season of American Songster Radio on WSM in Nashville, Tennessee, and we're going to be signing off now. So, I'm signing off. You signing off, Ania?
Happy holidays, everyone. Have a wonderful new year. We will see you next time around, and I'm officially signing off.
All right.